Good afternoon and welcome once again into my home. I'm Reverend Rick Clay. It's been about 3 weeks since I did my last video. Honestly, I got a little discouraged. I've been making these videos once a week for a couple of months. Asked a couple people to help me. That fell through. I know there's only like 5 people that ever watch these. So it was a little discouraging. But I don't know that I'm going to do these weekly, but I think it's important to me to do these. Even if nobody watches them, this gives me a forum or a venue to express my ideas and my beliefs. And maybe there's somebody out there who feels isolated or alone, or maybe, they think, am I the only person who feels this way? And maybe if I'd help just that one person, then this will kind of be worth it. My past videos have been on my philosophical and theological beliefs on different religions, about God, about Jesus, sin, some of the cardinal sins. I want to move on a little bit to maybe some more contemporary issues. One of my more recent videos, I talked about gay marriage and the rights of gays to marry and be with who they want, which I believe they have a right to. And most of my life, I have not agreed with that. I've kind of been a gay basher most of my life. But with age comes wisdom. I don't fault anybody for their beliefs or ideas, and hopefully the rest of the world can do the same with me. But I go to school full time, and I was sitting in my philosophy class today, and my instructor for the class, he's a PhD, and he was a missionary, a Protestant missionary for 30 years. So every once in a while he kind of crosses that line between preaching and teaching. There's been a couple times when I've got a little upset. I would never be disrespectful to the man. I respect him immensely. What he's done, what he's accomplished, who he is, and what he is. But I don't think it's right in an academic setting to push your beliefs on other people. I know the vast majority of people in academia are pretty liberal, and they take chances pretty much whenever they can to bash conservatism and conservatives. I called out a professor one time for doing that in class, and I told him, I'm not paying to hear your political beliefs or to hear you bash President Bush. I'm here to learn. And while I haven't done that with my philosophy teacher, he said some stuff that kind of upset me. My background, like probably most of yours, is pretty Catholic Christian. The whole God, Jesus the Son of God, the early Christians, Peter being the rock and the first pope and all those, and we disagree. He's Protestant. Well, we were talking today and I had a thought about suicide. Now, to Catholics, suicide's a sin. If you kill yourself, that's a sin. If you commit suicide, you're not going to go to heaven. So I got to thinking, well, what if you commit suicide by cop? Some of you may not know what that is. That's where if you ever put yourself in a position to where you're going to make somebody kill you. Suicide by cop is, you'll have somebody standing out holding a gun, surrounded by cops pointing their guns at him, and knowing that he is going to be shot, point his weapon at the police officers. They're going to shoot him. That's suicide by cop. Now, is that a sin? Practically speaking, yeah, it's the same thing. You're doing something that is knowingly going to end your life. Suicide. So I got to thinking a little more about it, and I thought, Jesus. When Jesus was in the garden, the last week of his life, the Passion Week it's called, when he was in the garden with his disciples, he knew that the Pharisees were going to come for him. He knew it. Satan was there with him and told him, you better bag ass, dude. They're coming to get you. And Jesus said, no, I'll put my faith in God's hands. By doing so, did Jesus knowingly give himself up to people that he knew were going to torture and kill him? If he did, is that pretty much the same as suicide by cop? And if so, logic dictates that Jesus was a sinner. Now, I know I just committed a huge heresy for a lot of people, but think about it. I'm not Jesus bashing in any way. Most of what I try to do is to illustrate points from an alternate point of view. If a man today commits suicide by cop, if that's considered a sin, why wouldn't that have been a sin 2,000 years ago? By Jesus knowing that the Pharisees were coming for him and not leaving, and knowing that they were going to convict him and find him guilty of heresy, punishable by death, and he didn't run, he let himself get captured because he had to give himself up for man's sins, was that in of itself a sin? Could be. It's just something I thought about today, and kind of played around with it a little bit. If nothing else, I want to try to make you think about it. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm not saying Jesus is a sinner. I'm asking a question. Hopefully most people that see this will be open-minded enough to think about it. What else? If that's the case, what else? What else is a sin? Pretty much anything in excess could be considered a sin. But then you go back to the whole obesity thing. Over 50% of the population of the United States, adults, are considered obese. Does that mean 50% of the population of the United States is committing sin by eating too much, gluttony? Just food for thought, something to think about, something to ponder. I have a bunch of homework to do. It's hard to do homework, make a video, play with my guitar, and do a bunch of things all at one time. But for the sake of prompting thought in others, I thought I would bring this issue up. Once again, thank you for joining me. I do apologize to you who do watch these videos that it's been a couple weeks since I've done this. I will try to keep doing this on a regular basis. Hopefully, I'm getting through to somebody. Once again, thank you for joining me. Have a good week.